Ahoy, First Mates, and welcome to the Boomvang. We are so excited to have so many of you joining us from all around the world for our second ever Boomvang. My name is Sabrina. I'm part of our sales crew. I lead our First Mate and Trade engagement, and I'm so excited to be here with John and Shane.
Thanks, Sabrina. Ahoy, everyone. My name is John DiOrio. I'm the AVP of Sales in North America for Virgin Voyages, and welcome to Boomvang.
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Shane Riley and I'm the AVP of Sales for the UK and Australia, and I'm delighted to be on the screen with John and Sabrina today, but even more excited that you are with us for the second ever Boomvang. So we can't wait to get started.
Yes, exactly. So for those of us who had joined our Boomvang back in July of 2020, you may be a little bit familiar with the event format and have, some idea of what to expect. But for our first mates who are brand new to Virgin Voyages, you may be wondering what exactly is a Boomvang and how is this going to help my business and help me sell Virgin Voyages? Shane, what can they expect from today?
Well, Sabrina, great question. So the Boomvang is packed full of that inside intel. So we are going to cover off some of the most asked about topics. So lots of things that all of you first mates have been asking your sales crew about. We're going to dive into them today. So you will leave today's Boomvang with a great understanding of what it means to set sail the Virgin Way. We're also joined by some very special guests, including the wonderful Holly Branson, who's going to talk to us about purpose and the purpose of Virgin Voyages that is propelling our business forward and helping us to make a big splash.
Oh, thanks, Shane. It's always so hard to follow you. But after Holly Branson, we are going to head into some amazing breakout sessions, really from your feedback from the first Boomvang, including a ship tour of our Sea Terrace cabin from our ship crew on board Scarlet Lady. Plus, we're going to dive into Resilient Lady and her beautiful destinations and itineraries. So we've got a lot of great information for you today, and we look forward to having you here with us.
Yeah, absolutely. That all sounds amazing. And to those first mates who have joined in previously, not to worry, as there is still a ton of amazing inside intel to add to your Virgin Voyages knowledge.
Yes, there's still lots to learn. And if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. And we're delighted to have you all here. So guys, I think it's time we get started, right? So let's dive into Boomvang and let's go. Before we get started though, why not have a little message from somebody you may recognize? Ooh. Let's take a look.
Me?
Oh.
Well, ahoy, first mates. Thanks for letting me drop in. We hope you enjoy this wonderful event our Virgin Voyages team has put together. And we'd like to thank you, not only for being here with us today, but for sticking by our side this past year. We know there have been a few challenges, but there is light at the end of the tunnel, and we are so looking forward to what's to come. Each day that passes, the closer we're getting to sharing the experience of a voyage of a lifetime with you all and with our sailors. It's been a long-held dream of mine to have a Virgin ship sailing the high seas, and we're so close to this dream becoming a reality. And we really appreciate everything that you've been doing to support this dream and to share it with your customers. It's a great pleasure to kick off this second virtual event, which is exclusive to you, our first mates, and I really hope you enjoy it. And with that, I'm sending a warm welcome to Holly, who will take it from here.
Thank you, Dad, and hi, everybody. Is anyone else wishing that we were on a Virgin Voyages trip right now? I know that I certainly am, and I have everything crossed that we're going to come together again really soon. As Dad mentioned, I really do also hope that you and all your loved ones are doing really well and that you've weathered this pandemic and that you've all remained safe during this horrible last 12 months. I'm sending each and every one of you many virtual hugs. As Chief Purpose and Vision Officer at the group, I'm really passionate about us living our purpose, which is changing business for good and being a leading global example for positive impact that great businesses can make in the world. Our crew at Virgin Voyages have sent us over quite a few questions that we're going to attempt to answer. And it should be really fun because even though me and Charlotte have worked together for the last 12 years, we've never actually interviewed each other. So before we dive in, I just want to get Charlotte to introduce herself. And so over to you, Charlotte.
Thanks, Holly. I don't have many horizontal stripes in my wardrobe, but I was thrilled to be able to reach for some today to join you guys, albeit virtually. As Director of Impact, I've had the tremendous opportunity to work with businesses, Virgin businesses all around the world on their purpose. And so I'm really excited that I'm going to have a chance to speak to Holly about one of our favourite topics, which is purpose. So why don't we, I'll kick off by asking you the first question they've sent, Holly. How do you think about purpose when it comes to business? How do you think about it?
Well, personally, I think purpose should be everything when it comes to business. And I think for far too many years, businesses have just thought about their bottom line and also about shareholder value. But I think thankfully, the excesses that were taking place in the 80s and the 90s has really brought about a sea change. Do you like what I did there, Charlotte? Excuse that fun. I think really we've got access to global communication channels, and there is some positive power that social media brings, and especially because it really just puts the power back to the people. And what's been really great is that people now can call out bad behavior. I think that it's really made businesses stand up, and they need to start treating their people correctly, and they need to make sure that they're doing the right thing for the communities they live in, and they're doing the right thing for our planet and not depleting resources to make their products. And I think that what's happened nowadays is that if companies are doing the wrong thing, someone will tweet about it, someone will shout about it. And it's really keeping companies on their toes and making sure they just stay being leading examples, which is fantastic. And I think lots of businesses are listening. They're listening to what consumers want. And I feel really proud because I think that Virgin's been doing this from way before they were asked to by their customers. It was something my dad really started Virgin with, the premise that you had to really look after your people and you had to make sure that you were doing the right thing for your customers. And this has been now for the last 50 years. He's been a driving force in that. And it's just, how can we just keep doing business better? And what's great is Dad was doing that from the very beginning, but now the last sort of 10 to 15 years, we've been making sure that that's just implemented. We've got a lot more structure now when it comes to purpose. And I love that every single thing that we do, we make sure that we're thinking, how can we do business better? And every single day we're thinking, how can we change business for good? And that's the thing, I think, with large global businesses, is that because we're working across many, many sectors, we can really think about not only how do we fix our own companies, but how do we actually make sure that the systems are changing as a whole? And how do we lead by example? How do we be an inspiration to others? I really think that we should be being that inspiration to lift people up, and we must be lifting all people up. And of course, we must be doing the right thing for our planet. I think we love competition at Virgin. We've really fought against the status quo. And I really do just think that we need to be now making sure that we are that pinnacle of purpose that all businesses aspire to be like. And it makes me feel very excited, and it also makes me feel very proud of where we come. On that high note, I'll hand over to Charlotte, as it's her job to make these things happen. Only joking, Charlotte. We're all in this together, but I know that you've been absolutely implementing this across the Virgin companies for the last 12 years. So I would love for you to elaborate for everybody else to hear more and more about how you do that.
I mean, I think you've covered so much ground already, Holly, but I guess one of the things I love most about purpose is just that it makes businesses more accountable, exactly as you said, like it's no longer okay to make a profit at any cost. I remember when I graduated a really long time ago now, that, businesses didn't treat people that well. So it was a really long time ago. So I started to work in charities because I just thought that would be a better place to do the right thing by people in society. And of course, that's changed so hugely since then, which I think is thrilling as a development. And I think, being purpose-driven really pushes us to think about the role and meaning that we play in people's lives and to really examine it. So if you think about it, a bank helps you buy your first home, like an airline helps you reach the people you love, so does telecoms. A wine company helps you have some of the best nights of your life, of course, but some are perhaps the trickier mornings. But I just think that, now more than ever, as we enter this critical decade, we've been through the pandemic, it's a really critical decade for the planet. And I just think that now more than ever, that's got to push businesses to think about, when they're making decisions today, to really think about the long-term impact of them and the consequences for everyone. I think we have that responsibility today. And talking about the pandemic, why do you think it matters more than ever that we're more purpose-driven as a group?
Oh, I think that, well, we all know the last year's been so difficult. It's been, it's been hell for so many people, and it's really shown that, like COVID especially, has really shown inequalities in a way that we've never seen them before. We've witnessed really stark differences between those that have and those that have not, and that's not just between the northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, east, west. It's really also been seen very much within countries, within the United States, within the UK, within Europe. And I really think that we've seen massive challenges faced by women of colour in particular. We've seen challenges across the BAME community as a whole. We've seen a lot of challenges in those people who are in the lower paid service sector roles. And those jobs just shut down overnight. And it's really, the statistics are now saying that COVID's going to put the gender parity back 100 years. Our education system's gone into meltdown. Poorer kids are really suffering the most. And it really makes me shudder to think of the inequalities that are growing globally, especially the inequalities in things like the vaccine rollout. So it's quite hard to think about positives right now, but as a family, I've got positivity in my genes. So I really think that we've got to try and think of the positives and how can we challenge all of these things on a global scale. I really think that we can use positivity, and I believe that we can use the power of the human spirit to overcome like pretty much anything that's thrown at us. And as business leaders and citizens of the wealthy nations, we've just witnessed these horrible inequalities in the last 12 months, but we can't unsee them. And I just know that these challenges that we're facing, especially those people that are suffering the most and the longest as a result of this pandemic, we absolutely now know the facts. And I really think that we need to be using businesses to act, and they need to act now. Like we must all come together as global businesses. We need to work with governments, we need to work with human rights organizations, and we need to just help our fellow citizens when they need us the most. I really, really believe that business has a massive part to play in this. It's not just governments, it's not just NGOs, but we all need to work together, especially with things like the vaccine rollout. And I also think we can work towards things like gender issues. We must make sure that we're reversing the tide. I really think that 100 years to get to parity, that's not good enough. I really hope that's not true. That's what's being said right now. And I really think that if we all knock our heads together and we think about the future of work, and we think about how it's going to suit people of different life stages, with different disabilities, how it's going to suit females, I really think that we can strive together to ensure that just all people enjoy a working life that truly supports their well-being and their mental health. And that's what purposeful business is all about. You see yourself as part of an ecosystem that needs all of its parts to be healthy and valued. And as a business, we absolutely should not be working in a silo. We prosper by ensuring that everyone prospers, and that need in 2021 is just so immediate. So Charlotte, how is Virgin a purpose-led set of businesses, and what is its purpose?
So, as you've already said, the purpose at Virgin is changing business for good. So that means that any business at all that we launch anywhere in the world in any sector has that expectation from the beginning when it carries the Virgin name. And so what we've been doing over the last decade or so is we've been working with the businesses that already existed, as well as the ones we launch, to help them develop their purpose, to really kind of uncover and think about what role they play in people's lives, so to help them develop and articulate it, to help them think about the strategies they need to embed it in everything they do in their businesses. How can they measure it and demonstrate that being purpose driven is a really sustainable competitive advantage, and also how can they evolve it? Because I think the thing about purpose, I always think this, and I'm really honest about it, is it actually gets harder over time, not easier, because you become more and more accountable. The more you do, the more people expect of you. And I think there are so many more things that we could be doing, despite all the great things that are already happening, where we could have a more positive impact on whether it's people, customers, communities, or the environment. I think one of the things that really defines the way we think about purpose in the Virgin Group is, from the very beginning, we were really obsessed that it would drive the decisions the business took. I do think that there's some concern sometimes with purpose, that you come up with an incredible statement, but that it doesn't then drive everything you do. And I think we've always been encouraged that the businesses have, used their purpose when they're then designing their products, their services, their experiences, because it's much more impactful if you embed it in all the decisions that you're taking. Clearly, we're not perfect, and there's so much more we can do. But the thing we know, both you and I know this from our travels around the group, is that we have incredible colleagues in this Virgin family all across the world who we know are every day in their roles trying to make better, smarter, and more purpose-driven decisions, just to make people's lives a little easier. And we know that we have a Virgin family of people that are trying to do that every day.
Yeah, I absolutely couldn't agree more. And that's why I'm so proud that our purpose is about the set of businesses changing business for good, and also about all our 70,000 people all over the globe changing business for good. And I think that during this last year, the Virgin companies have really rallied together, and they've really rallied to combat some of the worst effects that this pandemic has had. And they've been really a good shining example to so many other businesses globally. And that's why we settled on changing business for good as our purpose. I mean, you know that more than anyone, but no matter what sector, no matter how many employees we may have, whether it's a product or a service that we specialize in, our drive is always to be the best example of responsible, purposeful brand that we can be. And I'm just so proud of that.
And I think the thing that's interesting about your role is, as well as leading vision and purpose for us at the group, you also have the opportunity to meet lots of inspiring purpose leaders beyond the group. So I'm really curious to know, in your travels, who is it that's inspiring you beyond Virgin?
Oh, there's so many people. Do you know, though, if I think back to sort of 10, 15 years ago, there wasn't a huge amount of businesses that were externally speaking about purpose, and actually probably wasn't even called purpose back then. But there was a few that really were highlighted by it. Like there was the Ben & Jerry's of the world, Unilever, Patagonia, Puma, Innocent Drinks, Marks and Spencer's. And what was great is, because they were actually few and far between, these really large businesses, it meant that we could all get together quite a lot, collaborate with each other, learn from each other, just have an understanding of what all the businesses were doing. And it was really great, because it was just when I started working at Virgin 12 years ago that all these discussions started happening. And that's when my true, real love for purpose started. And it's been continuing ever since. I think more recently, I'm excited by the small businesses I work with. We're very much an entrepreneurial brand. We work a lot with small startup companies, either by personally investing or working with Virgin Startup, our not-for-profit. But what's so exciting is all the businesses nowadays that we're seeing come through these different entities all have purpose at the heart. So young people nowadays don't set up a business unless they think up an idea, really, that can not only make the money, but also can change the world for the better in the process. And that's really heartwarming. How cool if every business in the world was solving problems as well as giving products and services. You just can't get better than that.
No, I love it when we get to meet, you're right, when we get to meet founders who are, thinking about purpose from day one. It's so powerful if you're able to embed it from the start of your business. I think the only thing I'd say is that, in the group, we always launch new businesses with purpose, but obviously we also have established businesses that we've, still worked with to develop a purpose. So I think the good news about that is, for every business, you can start on a purpose journey at any time, wherever you are in your kind of cycle.
You just mentioned about Virgin businesses. Do you have any really amazing examples of Virgin purpose and action?
Yeah, the thing is, it's so difficult when you're asked that question because we've got so many examples that you always have to think which are the best ones to pick. I think there's a couple that would be good to mention. So the first one is Virgin Holidays, and their purpose is everyone can take on the world. It's such a brilliant call to action, and it's the real Virgin spirit. I think it's an absolute attitude. And I think what was really interesting is they thought about, who can't take on the world. Obviously, they offer incredible holidays to people at dream destinations. So it goes without saying that they can enable their customers to do that. They really look after and develop their people. So of course, they can help their people to do that. But they thought about, they have a passion that everyone should be able to travel safely and enjoy travel. And so from an advocacy perspective, they wanted to take a stand on making travel safe for those from the LGBT plus community, because there are still some parts of the world, it's so shocking when you say it, but there are still some parts of the world where travel isn't safe and they're not welcome. So I think they did this really powerful viral campaign where they looked at what would happen if we treated a straight couple the same way you treat a gay couple on holiday. It was really popular, it was widely shared and recognized, and it was great humor, of course, which is pretty Virgin, but it was such an important issue. And whilst that video was in circulation, a great way to raise an issue and to really engage people in the topic, they meanwhile went to work with suppliers in the Caribbean to talk to them about how can we really work with you to make sure that when people travel to this region, they have a safe and enjoyable holiday. I mean, I think they then took it a step further. So they thought about when they were developing products, who can't take on the world, and they realized that for single parent families, holiday, and there are many of them, holidays can be cost prohibitive. So they worked with a partner to launch a more affordable holiday product. I look like a pirate. They worked with a partner to develop a more affordable, I'll leave it there, a more affordable holiday for single parents, which I thought was a brilliant example of how they were using their purpose to drive their kind of products and services and experience design. The other example, another example that I think is a great example in the Virgin Group is Virgin Money in the UK, which their purpose is about making you happier about money. And I think it's a brilliant and really bold purpose for a bank. If you think about it, when you ask people, lots of people aren't that happy about money. They don't know if they've got enough of it. They don't really understand where it's going every month. So I think it's actually a really bold thing to say that you want to make everyone happier about it. But again, whether you're a retail customer, a business customer, or whether you have a mortgage with them, they're constantly looking to understand in the experience you're having with them what it is that they can change to make that experience a better one. And one of the brilliant examples this year, I think, and is their Red Team, which is about if you have money on your mind. So if you have any financial concerns or worries or queries, you can ring this team, but you don't even have to be a customer of the bank. I mean, it's just incredible. Think about how many people this year will have needed to ring those colleagues and at Virgin, even if they weren't a Virgin customer. That's such a Virgin thing to do, I think. And the other thing, of course, there are so many examples from Virgin Money, but Virgin Money Giving, we both know that really well, and they've raised millions for charities in the UK this year, again in a year when people have needed all the help they can get. So I mean, I think there are just it's almost, I feel always a bit shortchanged with this question, because I could actually talk for days about all the examples around the group, but I think in the interest of time and people getting on with their lives, I'll just give those two.
Well, a lot of those give me goosebumps. That just makes me so happy that all these things are happening across the group and that purpose is properly embedded in everything that people do. It's just great.
So, that was a couple of the examples where I talked about, a couple of the specific businesses and how they're approaching it. But actually, when we work with businesses all around the world, I think because we, there are some common kind of principles that underpin their approach. So what would you say are some of the common characteristics that we have when we're working with any business to help them become more purpose-driven?
Sometimes it can be quite daunting starting up a business if you want it to be truly purposeful, but all of our Virgin businesses, we sort of have 5 main pointers that we think about when we're embedding purpose across the companies. And the first one is just making sure your people come first. As the group's purpose and vision officer, it's something that I'm absolutely passionate about, is that our people are looked after and our people come as our utmost priority. We are passionate about the health and well-being of our people. And one of the things that I want everyone to say is that they feel like they can be 100% themselves at work and that they can express themselves 100% of the time. I think it's really important to foster that culture of inclusivity, of belonging, of trust. And I think you've got to really make sure that people can be openly living their truth at work. You're at work for such a long period of time that you've got to make sure that your work is just a lovely place to be and you can be 100% yourself. The next thing I think every business needs to do is be a wonderful consumer champion. I think it's really important that businesses embrace their responsibilities to the communities and the societies that they operate in. I think we've got to make sure that each of our customers have the ability to make good consumer choices just by coming to you as opposed to going to somebody else. I think that really helps. For example, with Virgin Atlantic, they've got the most sustainable fleet in the skies. Our ships are the greenest and most focused ships about our people. And I think that we've just got to make sure that we're creating products and services that are giving back, just being a responsible business as a whole. The next thing is, as a business, to really try and break industry norms for the better. Like, it seems just so appropriate in Women's History Month to talk about great strides that we're making on gender equality. We've got companies like Virgin Startup who have taken the most amazing yet simple steps to recruit more female founders. I just love the things that they're doing. They're having more females on their website. When they looked back at websites, they realized that the gender mix on the website wasn't that attractive to women because there wasn't that many women in the pictures. They've used this thing called a gender bias bot, which I just think is just amazing. They put all their pros through it to check that the language that they're using is attractive to women. They're going to different recruiters to what they normally would be. And it's really working. We're having many more female founders coming to Virgin Startup than they would be going to any other place. And so it's just thinking of those different ideas to really shake up industries for the better. Okay, so the next thing I think is really important is that we dive into diversity. And we've always wanted to be a brand for everyone. And we've gone above and beyond to make sure that we are a really inclusive company. But as we've turned 50, we've looked back at this, and despite working really hard to be inclusive, we've realized we're not as diverse a company as we'd hoped to be and as we'd like to be. And so we're doing everything we can now to make sure and make it clear to everyone that everyone is welcome at Virgin. And we are looking at how we're recruiting, we're looking at how we attract people, we're looking at how we retain people, we're looking at our advertising. We really are going above and beyond now to really try and change this, as it's really very important to us.
Thank you, Holly, for talking to us about the importance of purpose to us as a brand and how we aspire to change business for good in all the Virgin companies. Purpose really helps us to lift experiences from the ordinary to the extraordinary. And that's exactly what Virgin Voyages are going to do as they look to launch this year. Next up, you're going to hear from Chris Stubbs, who's the Senior Director of Sailor Experience, who's going to talk about what it means to set sail the Virgin way.
Ahoy, first mates. Lovely to see you. My name is Chris, and I have the great pleasure working at Virgin Voyages with the rest of the team who look after designing the future sailor experience. I don't know how I can follow Holly and Charlotte. They are two of my favorite people, other than Dad, who you saw earlier. Charlotte, I met down in Australia many years ago when I worked in Virgin Australia, and we were working on our new purpose as Virgin Australia moved from low-cost airline into a full-service airline. And she was an incredible help when we were thinking about what purpose meant to us and how it was evolving with our new strategy. And the last time I saw Holly, looking at them both today, I realized the last time I saw Holly, she led us into a major secret, and she was pregnant. And I now realize Lola has not only been born, but Lola's won this year. I just can't believe how the time has gone. So I promise you, I've got no earrings on today, so I'm not going to look like a pirate in a minute. No projectile earrings. But let me take you through a little bit more around how purpose has led our journey at Virgin Voyages, and how we translate that right the way down to how we design the future sailing experience. And so you heard Charlotte and Holly talk about changing business for good. That's the core purpose of Virgin Group. Let's start with our purpose at Virgin Voyages, and that's to create an epic sea change for all. We love a play of words, and we thought it was a really powerful statement to underpin why we've designed and started our business here in the cruise industry. So let me take you through the thinking. And hopefully we'll take that lofty statement, because some things like that, an epic sea change for all, what does that mean? I'll start bringing it down to some very tangible examples of what our sailors are going to enjoy when they set sail with us. So first up, what do? You have to translate your purpose into a mission, a vision for the experience you're designing. So Holly was talking a lot about how we think of our crew first. So that was one of the first visions we created. And the vision for our crew is that when they come and work for us here at Virgin Voyages, our promise to them is we are striving to create the best gig ever. Now, if we can do that for our crew, what's the promise that we can then deliver to our sailors? And that promise is to design the best week of their lives. That's what we're going after. That's what that purpose statement drives us to strive to achieve. And then I'm sure you're thinking, oh my gosh, that still sounds super lofty and really hard to achieve. And yes, it does, until you break it down into some design experience principles, which then really help you looking through the challenges customers face, the problems we want to solve for our sailors, the experiences we want to ignite and excite throughout the journey, and it becomes a bit clearer. So the first design principle that's, well, let's take it another bit from a point of view of, do we build another cruise line? Do we go out and have a look at the cruise industry and make it a bit better? That's definitely one thing you could do around trying to achieve the best week of a sailor's lives. When we spoke to our future sailors, we realized that actually the design thinking and where we need to look for inspiration was actually not in the cruise industry. We wouldn't be able to break the industry norms and challenge the status quo unless we took a different approach. And the lens we looked through was, well, if we're not going to build a cruise, what are we going to build? So we decided to build a voyage. And the voyage is meant to set out to make all of our sailors feel like rock stars. That's how you're going to create the best week of a sailor's life. And the underpinning design principles that sit under that, I want to talk to you about, because I think, again, it makes it clearer as to what we're up to and why we're doing what we're doing. And the first one's called Adult by Design. We realized quite early on, shall I let you into a secret? We designed the ship for kids. We were going to have kids on our ship. And when we started doing our testing with our sailors, we realized that actually that wasn't really a differentiated product. There's incredible offers out there in the marketplace for family holidays. And through that research, we then started to pinpoint there was actually a missing product in the market. And that was an Adult by Design product in the market, designed for mums and dads who adore their kids, but come back from a holiday, a vacation, depending which side of the Atlantic you're on, come back from a holiday and they're exhausted. And they're desperate for that little moment of adult time with their partners. And so that became kind of really interesting. And then when you spoke to people without little ones, we realized that they don't like the unpredictability of the little ones, and actually providing a haven, an adult by design haven, was really, really appealing. And then when you delve deeper, because now you're given the kind of freedom to design a product that's just for adults, you realize that you don't have to water down the experiences. So the entertainment, we can actually be really new and create something that's never been seen before, because we don't have to dilute the storylines or the execution of the experiences so that it appeals to little ones as much as the more wise ones. So it transformed and elevated what we can do in experience and entertainment. We found that food and the types of food you offer, you don't have to worry about palettes that are less sophisticated. You can actually explore all of the sophisticated palette and tastes, smells of delicious food with adults. And you could do fun things like have a little secret in the Sailor app that when you shake it, there's a special button that brings you champagne. Shake for champagne wherever you are on the ship. You can only start to find those opportunities and do those things when you've got the freedom of an adult by design principle supporting you to look at the problems and the sailing experience differently. The other, there are 4 of these, so that's the first one. The second one is called Boutique Glamour. And that's fueled from Virgin's obsession with design. I'm sure you've seen our obsession through our sister brands, our airlines, our hotels, our gyms. They're obsessed with design. And I can absolutely assure you, we at Virgin Voyages are equally obsessed with design. And so how do you go about designing a ship that's different to how other cruise ships have been created? And the way we went about that was to think about the architects that we're going to challenge to the job. And we actually didn't select architects that are used to building cruise ships. We realized that breaking the mold comes from finding architects that have never had the challenge of designing experiences at sea. And so the 7 architects that we joined and partnered with, they're more famous for designing Olympic stadiums and parks and incredible restaurants around the world and boutique design hotels, even airline cabin interiors, and bringing that fresh thinking from outside exploded the opportunity of what we were able to achieve on our lady ships. And so that was a design principle which unlocked a lot of opportunity. And you'll probably see when you walk around our lady ships, there's this feeling of eclecticness, if that's a word. There are those spaces that you'll walk into and go, oh, I want to go have a shower, get dressed up and feel glamorous in this space. This is somewhere I can see myself having a great evening out. And there'll be other spaces you'll walk into and you'll just be like, oh, that is the perfect spot for a morning coffee. And I can just chill out and relax and read my book that I never get time to read. And that was really the design principles that these architects help us uncover. And it's the principle of city life. And the fact that you go to some places that are glamorous and some places that are a bit gritty. Gritty is in they're just cool, relaxed vibe. They have no airs nor graces. And you smash those 2 design principles together and you have an eclectic mix that really provides a space for everyone at any point of the day, at any point of the voyage. So that was a really interesting design process to go through as we were designing our lady ships. Third one, principle is one that we call relaxed luxe. It's one that I would say properly sums up the Virgin personality and design philosophy when it comes to experience. And what it takes is all of the sophistication and attention to detail that a luxury brand would put into the design of their product. but takes away all the stuffiness and the formalities. It takes away uniforms from people that dress them up in bow ties and waistcoats and forces them to wear white gloves, and kind of makes them stand stiff and to attention, and it loosens them up and allows our people to be the amazing human people we recruited them to be, which is the fact that they love other people and love to help other people have a great time. So the relaxed luxe approach just deformalizes the sailing experience, and it was a core one for us. It stops us having a dress code. We don't have a dress code at Virgin Voyages. The only time you can have the best week of your life is if you feel the best version of yourself. If you're feeling a rock star, rock stars don't get told what to wear. They express themselves in the style that is authentically them. So we can't start telling people what to wear in order to get into a restaurant. That's just not Virgin. And that's not relaxed. That's just stuffy and formal. So it takes away dress codes. It takes away the formalities of telling someone when to eat, the fixed dining times. It took away the buffet, because the buffets, we realized, are actually quite low quality. Well, let me put it this way. The chefs who design food for buffets and food for grand dining halls basically say, actually, you cooking en masse. If you want excellence, you have to cook to order. And you can only cook to order in specialist restaurants that are all individual eateries, independent of one another, that have the capacity to cook to order as and when a sailor wishes to eat. And so you can start to create this sophisticated product by starting to take all away those industry norms. And I can't underestimate the power of our service style and our people. How do you go about empowering our people to have the tools and freedom to make things happen? Make ship happen, as we say at Virgin Voyages. And making ship happen is the freedom to do those little surprising moments that just make sailors go, oh, wow, I didn't expect that. And so our last design principle is then ordinary to extraordinary. It's one of the principles actually that all Virgin companies use. We think about those, how do you take an ordinary experience and just add in those magic touches, surprising delights that flip it into extraordinary. And when we were looking at the sailing experience, traditional sailing experience, we found that sailors say they feel a bit rushed. They need to be back on the ship by 5 because the ship is going somewhere else. And therefore you kind of get to like 2 in the afternoon, 3 in the afternoon, and you're looking at your watch going, oh God, I've got to kind of get jivvy on up and get back to the ship. And you feel like you've lost out on seeing the destination that you've visited. You had to get up very early. I'm telling you, I don't like to get up very early on my vacations. I like to sleep in. And there's this kind of like tension in traditional cruising that's, I've got to get out of bed early, I've got to do everything I can really quickly around the places I visit because I've got to be back on the ship by 4 p.m. So how do we relax that and allow our sailors to unwind and also see destinations after dark? So itinerary design sounds very ordinary, but you can turn that into something extraordinary by taking away that big pain point and designing late night stays in every itinerary, every voyage, and overnight stays at port, so you can truly see after dark. It's those kind of things that seem quite small, but when you take such a large pain point out of an experience, it really does make it refreshingly different. Another one is, and Charlotte and Holly were very much passionate about it, this forceful good that's within a business. And you've got to do so much more than just thinking about making profit. It's experientially led. You're championing the consumer. You're thinking about the planet and your impact on the planet. And we realized that one of the biggest issues in the oceans today is the 9 million tons of plastic that ends up in it. It's really upsetting, and the more you learn about that subject, the more upsetting it gets. And we got so upset about this, we basically said we cannot be responsible for adding a gram of extra plastic into the ocean. So we had to set ourselves a really big challenge and say, how do we design out single-use plastic from the sailor experience? Which means the eradication of plastic water bottles and all of that stuff. And the team have done an amazing job and found a way to do that. And even you'll see our band, the band, we probably won't go much detail about that today, but even the key card, your wallet, the ticket to a show that you wear around your wrist, instead of having a plastic key card to tap around the place, your wearable actually takes out of the sea 2 pounds in weight of ocean and marine plastic. So every sailor, when they're wearing their band around the ship to the terminal, they know that they've contributed to cleaning up the ocean, not contributing to making the ocean a little bit worse off. So that's our philosophy. And so they're our core 4 design principles that come to life to take an epic sea change for all, our purpose, into a sailor vision of making sure all of our sailors feel like rock stars. And then you put those design principles in place and you start to really clearly see the kind of experience you have to design. And that leads me to a question that I was speaking to Lindsay in the sales team recently. And Lindsay said to me, he often gets the question from you about where would I put the brochure on the shelf? The old traditional shelf in a travel retail store. You all remember them. Some still exist. I know we're going into digital more and more and more now. But where on the shelf does Virgin Voyages sit? And our answer to that question is, we think of it that there are 3 shelves in your travel retail store. Top shelf, high-end luxe, very exclusive, price point that's not attainable by many people, and quite stuffy and formal and traditional. You've got the bottom shelf, which is cheap and cheerful. Probably debundled packages that you get a very low price, but there are lots of add-ons. But it is very accessible. It's cheap and cheerful. That's what it is. And then you've got a middle shelf. And that's where you might put the brochure of W hotels, the Standard, One hotels, Kimpton. That's where you put Virgin Voyages. It's that really high value product that doesn't have the stuffy formalities, but has all of the sophistication and attention to detail of the luxury brands, and offers it at a really affordable and attainable price. So that's my answer to that question, and thanks to Lindsay for bringing that up. And the rest of the sales team were talking to me, and they said, before you go and hang up and let the first mates go and do more stuff around Boomvang today, would you mind taking them around the value proposition that's associated to that middle shelf? So here goes. I know you'll know about this proposition called On Us. A simple way of me translating that to kind of normal English is something like inclusions without the asterisks. It means things that are included in the voyage fare that are always in it, not just a wave season, any fare, every day of the year, every hour. It's there, it's clear, you get what we say you're going to get. And that's up to $600 of value that's included in the voyage fare. It's part of what you heard Holly and Charlotte talking about earlier, which was very much around championing a better experience for consumers, doing what's right and making the changes that makes the market fairer and more honest. And we think there is a more honest and fairer way to design the cruise fare. You might hear the sales team talking about making the sea fairer, F-A-I-R, not F-A-R-E. So what's in it? Got amazing things like, I said we took out the grand dining rooms, we took out the formal sit-down dining. And when you do that, you just end up with specialty eateries everywhere. So we don't charge cover charges for any of our specialty eateries. That's all we have. So we're not going to charge a sailor to access their meals during the day. All meals included. I said that we took away plastic water bottles. and single-use plastic from the sailor experience. Well, that means we won't be selling water because we think actually it's a basic human right, and it's hot here in Miami. And so therefore we've put all of the essential drinks into the voyage fare, which quickly add up actually. When you're going through a holiday on land, if you totted up all of your receipts, all the soft drinks, the Coca-Colas, the drip coffee, basic teas you might drink, and water, that adds up pretty quick. So we wanted to take that pain point out of the sailor's worry when it comes to sailing with us and just add it in the fare. Talking about basic human rights, there's another core basic human right we all have now. And I know when this pipe, this basic human right pipe is cut, we all don't know what to do with ourselves. It's called the internet. So we've put in basic Wi-Fi for all sailors. We know we can't live our lives without the internet, so that's always included. Tips. Isn't it horrible when you get a nasty sting and you see the price on the menu and you get the bill and it doesn't match? There's extra stuff on it, and often quite a hefty tip. It's, as Holly mentioned earlier, it's all Virgin's very passionate about looking after our crew. We look after our crew, so our sailors don't have to. Tips are included. The price you see is the price you pay. No nasty hidden surprises and bill shock. And then the last one is just something that actually fuels us, and it's wellness. We love wellness. We don't do enough wellness in our lives, do we? We're busy at work, busy with the kids, just busy. And we're not busy enough with ourselves. And actually we need to look after ourselves. And holiday is the best time to indulge in all of the luxuries of life and all of the wellness of life. And so we didn't want a pay barrier, a paywall to be in the way of doing a group fitness class. So we've thrown in all group fitness classes too, because we think it's really cool, the energy it gives you to enjoy all the things in life when you've had a bit of a workout. So that's our value proposition. I know a really key hot topic with First Mates and discussion with our sales team is around the pricing on board. And again, we wanted to do what was fair for the consumers, and that's having reasonable and transparent pricing. So the price you see is the price you pay, tip always included. So the massage will not have 18-20% tip shoved on it. The massage price you see is the massage price you pay. It's the same with our drinks. And I know drinks have maybe been quite expensive in the past on some cruise lines. And I know your clients have told you they didn't really appreciate that. And so we went about creating a beverage program that we think is really fair. And actually it's so good that you're going to want another one. Not that, oh, I'll just have the one that's quite expensive. It's like, oh, that was delicious. The price was amazing. Let's definitely have another one. So what does that mean? It means 42% of our wines by the glass are under $10. I'm telling you, go around Miami and try and find 42% of wines on menus are under $10. I'm telling you it doesn't exist. But it does exist on Scala. Beers like a Heineken would start from $5, $5 to $6 on the ship. Basic cocktails, $9. Fresh pressed juices, $9. A barista specialty made coffee, $5. We think that's really reasonable pricing. And remember, it's got the tip included. That's all you pay, that's done. Which then nicely leads me into the second question we often get from First Mates, which is, go on Virgin Voyages, tell us about your drinks packages. And when you look at drinks packages and you actually ask, well, why are there drinks packages in the market? It's because of unreasonable and untransparent pricing in the marketplace. So we didn't think we needed drinks packages when we have an incredible price point, a value proposition when it comes to the design of our food and beverage drinks menus. Drinks menus, not food, sorry. But what it did expose was a need for sailors who love to save up before they go away. And some people like to put in their bank accounts a little holiday fund. Maybe you are one of those people who likes to save up and then you just splurge and enjoy it and you don't have to worry about the credit card bill at the end of it. So we needed to find a solution for people who like to save up before their voyage. And we call that bar tab. And that's where we enable sailors to drop $300 onto their bar tab prior to sailing. And we top it up by another $50. And then the sailor, when they buy their drinks, they just gently use up their bar tabs. You can buy as many of those as you like. That's up to the sailor. And it's basically an onboard credit that is associated with bar and drinks. You don't have to, not every person has to buy it in the cabin because it's not a drinks package, it's a credit. So if I buy it and I choose to spend it on all of my mates having drinks, that's cool too. There are no rules around it. It's just $300, we give you an extra 50, job done. When you translate that to the bar pricing, that means $350, that buys you 35 $10 glasses of wine. If you want to do the maths really precisely, 38.8 fresh pressed juices or basic cocktails. What else did I work out? Yeah, 70 bottles of $5 beers. It's pretty cool what you can get with your bar tab. So that's our approach to fairness and a great value proposition. And then the last one that we've put in place, which I hope then kind of rounds up this championing and overall better experience for consumers that's very much in our DNA, is flexible policies. We know ship happens. We know life changes. I'm sure most of your time is spent changing people's bookings because something's gone wrong at work and someone can't take their holiday when they thought. One of their friends has, I don't know, horrible things like broken an ankle, now can't go on holiday. That's fine, that's life. What's not fine are really restrictive booking policies. So that's why you'll find when you book with Virgin Voyages, you don't have to give all of the sailors' names to us, just the lead sailor. The sailor can work out who they're going to sail with later. They don't have to make that decision at the moment they book. We can change bookings up to 45 days prior to sailing. We know life changes, so let's have a flexible change policy that doesn't involve penalties. And then the last one is, again, for that horrible example, broken foot scenario. If someone breaks their foot or ankle, they can't go away, and another friend is free, you can change the names on a booking up until 48 hours prior to sailing. We think those kind of things are policies that are built for real life. And that in total is what we wrap up as setting sail the Virgin Way. And I hope that's kind of giving you a bit of the story, a bit of the rationale, and now you're kind of sitting there and going, oh, now I know what they're up to. Now I get it as a complete package of experiences and policies and pricing that all wraps together to create a better consumer offer that I hope that not only you'll love, but your clients also. And so before I let you go, there's just one more thing I want to say. And that's a huge thank you. I don't know about you, but I've personally felt it's been a really tough 12 months. I think it's about 12 months now, isn't it? It's been horrific. The travel industry has been so hard hit by the pandemic, but I just know the incredible resilience of everyone within the travel industry. And what's kept us going are you and your clients. To feel the incredible energy and Virgin loyalty kind of flow from you to us throughout this difficult time has just been inspiring. And I just want to say thank you for that. Thank you to you, thank you to your clients. And we truly are just as excited as you to set sail. And I promise you it's not that long now. It's not that long. I'm sure you can see it. That little light at the end of the tunnel is growing brighter and brighter, isn't it? And it's getting closer and closer, and it's nearly here. It's nearly here. So let's stick with it, guys. It's not going to be long. We're going to be there. And my gosh, are we going to celebrate on board our lady ships when eventually we're going to be sailing across this beautiful ocean blue that you can see behind me. So thank you. Now, what I think happens is if you look down, kind of like down here somewhere, I don't know if it's down here, here, or here, but it's kind of down there. You're going to see a big red button. And that big red button is going to open up the breakout sessions that are on offer next here at Boomvang. So open it up, select which breakout you want to go and discover a little bit more about. And you might see a countdown timer or a little video running. That's a little prompt to say you've got a bit of time to get a cup of tea. Go and grab a cup of tea. Sit down, and the stories that the rest of my crew and colleagues are going to be telling you will be starting shortly. So enjoy the rest of your Boomvang.